That's why it's important not to omit certain passages in the Bible. How much of the Bible is inspired?
All of it.
All of it. All of the Bibles. Even some of the parts that seem contradictory. So in context, we need to put all of the Bible together. 2, support our understanding of our beliefs. When we want to look at a belief in our church, how many Bible passages should we look up? Just like baptism. We want to understand baptism. How many passages should we go to in the Bible?
Those bunches.
Bunches? Sounds like a bunch of carrots. What do you mean bunches? How many?
A dozen? 2 dozen?
All of them.
All of them that deal with baptism. Any particular topic, we need to go to every verse in the Bible that talks about it. And there, we talked about earlier, some of them may seem contradictory, but can they contradict each other? No! Somehow they need to come together.
Listening to you, we're talking about the Bible when it was written. And there was 100 bishops sitting there for several years, right? Did they discuss each line like we're discussing it now? To make sure it was entire?
Sure.
Every
when they're choosing the books, see what he's asking. Remember when they determine what books go into the Bible? They had to look at the entire text.
So they might have eliminated certain lines.
No.
They didn't know they were inspired. The whole book was taken as a...
Yeah, as a whole.
Okay.
They take the book as a whole.
They didn't.
Yeah. But they look at the entire book. You're right.
They also do that when they interpret from one language to another. They have to go word by word because a word, one could mean something different in the other different language. So that's why the church takes 30 or 40 years to get a new Bible out, because they got to go word by word on it.
Yeah, they want to make sure the entire meaning is there. That's
So
right.
when we do Bible study in the Catholic Church,
What?
when we hold Bible study like
Yeah.
that, where groups get together, how do we not fall in that? How our Protestant and Baptist friends, the catechism?
They're not catechism.
Because in addition to the Bible, the second book that every Catholic must... Maybe we should start selling catechisms here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay? When Catholics do Bible studies, excellent point. How many of us are in a Bible study or have been in a Bible study? You know, what do? We open up the Bible and we read the Bible. And we go around and say, what does it mean? What does it mean? That's great to do. But what should our final authority should be? The person who has the biggest stick on the table? What is the ultimate authority? We should go to some authoritative source that will tell us what it is. This can be one. We have other commentaries. I've got some at home that are approved by the bishops that gives us commentary on Scripture, and they give us the Catholic interpretation of those. So what we do is we go to an authoritative source to definitively tell us what it means, so that way we know what it is. So that's what we do. We take it to another step, rather than just
Leave it there.
who can argue, back and forth. So, excellent question. We'll end it here. So we have a 3-year cycle where the entire Bible is proclaimed. A lot of our non-Catholic churches, they preach on certain passages. Most of the time, they preach on favorite passages in Scripture. I have been attending in an evangelical church for about 9 years. 9 years. How many cycles in the Catholic Church would that be? 3. For 9 years I've been in an evangelical church. In the Catholic Church, this is 3 full cycles. 3 full rotations of the entire Bible. And all those years I've been there, I have not heard a lot of passages ever preached on. Let me just give you a couple examples. Richard brought it up earlier. John chapter 6. I have never heard that one preached on. Do you know what John chapter 6 is?
The Eucharist.
The explanation of the Eucharist. 5 times Jesus says what the bread and the wine really is. I never heard that one. You know another verse I've never in 9 years heard preached? I've heard this one probably hundreds of times. I've never heard that one preached once. Why do you think that's true?
Because it contradicts what they're teaching. It refers to the oral teaching, whereas 2 Timothy, they interpret as written.
Yeah.
Which goes back to their thesis is that the Bible is the sole written authority.
I've heard this verse quoted hundreds of times in 9 years. I've never heard this one once.
Why don't you ask them?
I will. You know what? I might just do that.
Tell them you're confused.
I'm confused. I really
I
am.
opened it up the wrong.
Also, another one I've never heard. Matthew chapter 18, verse 18.
Now, which John did you say you didn't hear?
John chapter 6. Now, Jesus explains what the Eucharist is all about. How about Matthew 18, 18?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, that's reconciliation.
You've heard it before. You have a difference with somebody, right? What do you do first? You go to that person and you talk with them, right? Yeah. Then when that doesn't work, then what do?
You go to the priest.
Go find somebody else.
You find another person. And then when that doesn't work, what do?
Go to the church.
You go to the church. Oh, what church? What church?
Catholic.
I've never heard of that one preached. I can go on and on and on passages. The point I'm trying to make here. All of the Bible needs to be preached, not parts of it. There are some Bible passages that contradict some of their beliefs. So what do?
Throw them out.
Just omit them. You know what they say? There's some hard verses in the Bible. I've heard this one before. And the one that drives me up the wall. I guess we'll never know the meaning of this until we get to heaven. Do you know what I tell them every time?
It's too late.
I give them the theological term I love to use. Baloney. Is God going to give us an inspired book without a way of telling us what it really means? Or do we have to wait to heaven to understand what it is? That's crazy.
Vic, when did the catechism...
This came out in 1990.
So they didn't have the catechism before that?
They had a Baltimore catechism before that. They've had catechisms for a lot of years in the church. Just different styles. Does anyone remember the Baltimore catechism? Oh my God! They're dating themselves. Okay. But yeah, there was a catechism. So we've had.
This was the first change for the Baltimore catechism in 400 years.
Yeah, this is a big change. This is a big deal.
Yes.
Just came out in 1990. Early 1990s this came out.
Yeah. People should realize it took the
This thing
almost 30 years to come out with that change.
Oh yeah, this is a major effort. Major effort. Does anything in this book contradict the Baltimore Catechism?
No.
It can't. Just a different format.
But it's interesting because I was sent a pamphlet from a Protestant. Essentially, they listed all the biblical beliefs, and then they listed all the Catholic beliefs, and everything was out of the Catechism, which proves we don't use the Bible. They forgot that in the bottom of almost everything in there lists the biblical place it came from in the Catechism. They didn't mention that part.
Yeah. Now let me just end it with this. I said this before, and I'll say it again. There is nothing in this book that can contradict the Catholic faith. Why?
Catholics, they set up the book.
The Catholic Church put the book together based on oral tradition. How can this contain something the Catholic Church doesn't believe when it uses beliefs in the first place to determine what books go in it?